Hi, friends. Welcome to season 3, episode 6 of Dysfunction Exposed. This is the last episode in this season. Now, it's not because there aren't 1,000,001 stories left to tell you, because there's a lot. However, I just like to keep it at 6 episodes a season, so that means I'm going to have to cram a lot into today. And as promised last week, I did say that I would tell you why I got arrested the second time. And it's nowhere near as exciting as the first, I'm not going to lie. But for the sake of transparency, I said I'd tell you, so I'm going to tell you. So the second time that I was arrested as a youth, I was 15 years old and I'd been fighting on a public bus. And that wasn't my finest moment. Definitely wasn't my finest moment. But because I was a bit of a fat kid and I was an easy target, people would come for me. So it was, right, well, now I have to come back, don't I? Because I can't be perceived to be the weak one. Oh no, they won't do that to me. So I threw fists instead. And it's not big and it's not clever. And now I like to use my words far more than my fists, which proved to be just as dangerous, to be honest. People, I think, if anything, would prefer to get a smack in the face over some of the words that I say. But that is what it is. It's probably the metaphorical smack in the face that people will be hurt by more if I'm really going there. So yeah, that was it for the second arrest. I had to go to the police station and give a statement and all the rest of the shit. And yeah, no kid should really have been fingerprinted twice before the 16. But that is what it was, and luckily I didn't fall into a specific life of violent crime, because I could have done, let's face it. In any of the alternate timelines, I definitely could have been I don't know, what are they called? An armed robber. In a different timeline, I could have been an armed robber, really. But thankfully, I'm not, and this is where we are instead. So I am 15 years old. I'm still trying to navigate my way through life the best way I fucking can. And as I told you in the previous episode, I wasn't the best mentally after all these things had been happening to me. And something I'd like to talk about today is the fact that when I did try to unalive myself at that very raw age, after that had happened, I'd taken myself to the doctors and they put me on antidepressants when I was 15. My brain hasn't even fully formed yet. And Big Pharma over here is like, no, you're broken. You're one of the broken ones. Am I? Am I really? And to say I was diagnosed with antidepressants when I was 15 years old shouldn't even fall out of my face. That should not be a thing that even comes into play. Why the fuck are we giving kids antidepressants when if we gave them a bit of time and actually talk to them, we could probably get to the root of that mental issue and actually deal with it in a way that would give that individual a better chance at life, rather than learning, oh no, let's just take things to mask it and dumb it down constantly. you can't shut yourself down. And I think that's been a big lesson for me, because when I was given those medications, to turn down the noise almost, it kept me like that for 15 plus years. And that is absolute ludicrous, because I should never have been there in the first place. I should never have been at a situation where they look at a 14-year-old and go, yeah, you're depressed. I didn't even know what fucking depression was, bro. I just thought I was a bit sad. I thought everyone feels this. Even when I told my dad, he was like, yeah, everyone's fucking depressed. Just get on with it. Okay. So to say I've been medicated for most of my life, that's a wild one, isn't it? Because I'm assuming not many people will be in that category. And they shouldn't be in that category. If you are in that category, let's fucking talk, because there was such a huge injustice there that we had to deal with. Excuse me. So, that being said, I'm medicated. Dad's in Cyprus all the time, innit? So, I've kind of got like a mental block on a lot of things, because technically that's what antidepressants do. They shut down parts of you so you don't actually have to deal with it. And that is how modern medicine is a fucker, because it will keep you trapped in that loop forever. And it'll leave you with the excuses like, oh no, I'm mentally ill, like I'm depressed, I can't help this is just my brain chemistry. When I figured out that isn't actually the case. And again, that'll follow in a different story. But back to today. Dad's in and out of Cyprus as he was, and there was an occasion when I was 15. Me and a friend of mine from school, my dad had said we can go on holiday, because they were still looking for properties at this point. So we're like, yeah, buzzing, free holiday. And we go to Cyprus. This is one of those stories where I'm like, you absolute clown, Emma. Why did you even do this? This could have ended so fucking badly. And I'm extremely grateful that it didn't end as badly as it could have done. So we're in this complex in Cyprus, and me and my friend have got a room to ourselves. My dad and his girlfriend have got the room to themselves next door, because we're teenage girls, you know, they're adults. It's a thing, okay? And it must have been one of the later dates in the holiday, because me and my friend had figured out that after a certain time of night, we didn't get checked on. You know where this is going, don't you? So after about 10 o'clock at night, my dad and his girlfriend would be drinking and doing whatever the fuck they're doing in their room. And me and my friend would just be left to our own devices. So one night, towards the latter of this holiday, we'd already been saving money on the side, because sneaky little bitches that we were like, let's go on a night out. Let's go on a night out. And that's exactly what we did. We waited until about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and this complex wasn't a very well lit area, to say the least. But me and my friend decided this is the mission. And we got out of the hotel. Of course we fucking did. We got out of the hotel, we get in a taxi, we paid 20 quid to get to the main drag, go and have a wild time. as young girls. And obviously, foreign country, no one questions it. Nobody fucking questions it, even though we're noticeably young girls. They're serving us in bars and letting us run wild, be feral little beings as we are. And we're lapping it up. We're talking to boys, we're dancing, we're drinking, we're having a brilliant time. And luckily, we managed to make it home safe. And that's probably one of, well, I was about to say it's probably one of the only times where I've managed to do something and there hasn't been a repercussion. But that's a fucking lie. Like, for someone with my mental capacity, I did a lot of stupid shit, but I also did some really sneaky shit that was like 10-10 on the idea front. Because I was like, I know how to manipulate this now. And that isn't the logic I should have had. I should have just been like, yeah, let's don't do this because danger, danger, danger. But danger wasn't a thing in my mind. I had no concept of danger because no one ever taught me about that. So I'm just going fast and loose at the universe. Like, come at me, world. I'm ready to experience all you've got, because I was kind of ready to go to heaven or hell, whichever one it was going to be. And I was just like, I want all the experiences I can get, and I'm not going to be held down in the meantime. So I was doing all this impulsive, ruthless stuff, really. And actually, that's a weird thing to do, because going to heaven or hell, I'm not religious in the slightest. I'm a spiritualist. But, tangent, my first night out in an adult zone back in the UK is actually a club called Heaven and Hell, or was. And that was my first night out when I was 15 as well. And oh my God, the shit you remember when you start talking about it. So I remember, because I was the bigger kid, my friends took me shopping and they put me in this horrible maxi skirt from Evans because nothing else had fucking fit me, and this like silver chain linked top. I must have literally looked like a 15-year-old girl trying to be someone's mother. Like, you're not going to get away with this, Emma. This is stupid. But my friends were like, well, hold my boyfriend's hand and then you'll get in, because they won't even question it. And again, it worked. It worked. I was in environments I shouldn't have been in at a very young age. And I don't think parents really understand the depth of how that can shape you as a human being. And having your eyes opened to situations that you're kind of too young to grasp. That's why they have age limits. And yes, it kind of makes sense. But I didn't have that luxury. I've been drinking for a few years now. Like, alcohol wasn't a thing to me. It was very normalised, like I say, and that's bizarre. It should never have been normalised. I think it spurred me into a direction as I was getting older. And do I regret it? I wouldn't say regret's the word. But there are situations where I think you could have really done yourself some damage, and I'm very, very lucky. Very fucking lucky. Because I wasn't dead by 21. Whereas because I was so ruthless and so impulsive, I used to openly tell people that, yeah, I'll be dead by then. No problem, sir. I've got this. But again, I'm old before my time. My maturity level is just in a different space, and I can't really relate to people who are my age at this point because they don't understand. they're being sheltered in their own way by their own families, and they're probably not going to go drinking until they're actually 18 and have ID. But it was a different time. You can't get away with that now, but we could back then. And yeah, it's like the weird memories, the good memories, but I'm like, yeah, you still shouldn't have been there though, should you? So even though I was being a little reprobate on the weekends and sneaking out and drinking and being with boys and doing all these things, I don't know, being the bigger kid almost made it feel like it wasn't a genuine experience, because I was always kind of on the sideline. I think this is where I got my observation skills from. Because I was constantly analysing other people. It wasn't that I was necessarily involved with the boys or whatever, but I was constantly watching other people and how they would interact, which made me very aware of other people, but I had no awareness of myself. And again, we'll get into that. But last little story for today. Because as I was thinking about this episode, this is one of the things that hit so hard in my teenage years that I've never been able to like forgive my parents for it. And there's a lot I've forgiven them for, but I can't forget everything. And while I was still at school, obviously 15, 16 years old, you're doing your GCSEs. This is a big time as a kid. Even though I look back now and I think I've never fucking used any of them. I've been in work pretty much my whole life. I've blagged about my GCSEs because I'm actually smart enough to know. Like, no one checks this shit. No one's ever checked this shit. And I'm not stupid. That piece of paper is not a direct reflection of how intelligent I am as a human being. But that's what it all comes down to in modern society. Again, fucking bizarre, but that's another subject altogether. So I did my GCSEs. I was due to sit 11 GCSEs, I think. And I sat all of them without any parental get up and go, you're doing really well, Emma, study, do whatever the fuck you need to do. I didn't have any of that. As you can imagine, then none of that was there. So I didn't do any revision. I didn't study whatsoever. And essentially, doing tests in that manner is just spewing back out information you've managed to put in your memory. But none of that information was relevant to me. So I'm like, I know what I know, and if I don't, I don't. And really, that's a more accurate representation. So I sit my GCSEs, and as summer approaches, I get my results. Now, this was a weird day. It was such a weird day because my dad wasn't even in the country, and my mum's now living in Kent. She didn't pick up the phone to see how I'd done. Neither did he. No one gave a shit. And I'd gone through the process. I'd done what I needed to do. And I managed to get 6 A to C's. And I was quite happy with that. Like, okay, out of 11, and some of those topics, I was in constant trouble with those teachers. Like, there was no way I was going to pass because I just couldn't get past the human in front of me. Just, what are you saying to me? Like, what are you even doing? You're telling me I'm, like, not capable of doing this. So I'm not going to do it then, am I? But there was no parent there for me, or guardian, or family member, or sibling, nobody. And the teachers are looking around and going, where's your parents? Like, congratulations, you did it. You did it. We didn't nail it, but you did it. And I was just like, yeah, they're not here. They're just not here. And I was sad. I was so sad because I could see everyone else on the literally picking up the phone straight away to get onto the mum and dad because they wanted to know how they'd done. Because naturally, parents want to know what's going on with the child. But no. And I got so irritated that I literally remember ripping this piece of paper up, watching it all fall on the floor and walking away. Because what the fuck did this piece of paper mean to me? Nothing. It meant nothing. Because I knew that wasn't a representation of what I was capable of. Because look at the situation I'm in. And we don't get a second go at this. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to have that hang over my whole life forever because it's not relevant. Like, I got a C in RE. Have I ever used RE in any concept? No. I did statistics. Have I ever used a statistic in my life apart from what's 20% off a clothing item? No, I've not. I've never used algebra in my adult life. The only thing I'm confident in saying that I use every single day is the English language. And people still struggle trying to understand that coming out of me sometimes. So yeah, looking back at milestones and nurturing the fact that my younger self and my inner child didn't have that guidance. So now I have to nurture myself in a way that honours that. And I can go, you know what, I'm going to celebrate the little wins every single day because I deserve that. Where I did the big things in the past and there was never any gratification or validation from anyone, including my own family. Now I validate myself. And that's a huge, huge, huge deal to me. But on that note, that's all I'm giving you for today's episode because I've been up and down around the houses a bit. But next season, we're going to college because I'm going through the motions, okay? This is all just me going through the motions and I'll tell you about more wild shit that happened along the way. But until then, this has been Dysfunction Exposed. I'm Emma J. Have a good week, take care of yourself, and I'll see you next week.